That looks like we're live, Elio.
Yeah, we're on, baby. We've been waiting a month. I am so excited for the Ohio Next Energy Summit. How you doing, Rick?
Dude, I'm awesome. This is really exciting. Like, do you see all these people pouring in right now? Man.
All right. You know, I'm kind of getting used to this conference platform. It's my first time on here, but it looks like, yeah, we do have people hopping on. And I can see that because I am looking at people right now, which is on the top right-hand side, right below my picture. I can see all the people that are logging into the event, and I can see people interacting in the chat. So I am so excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm really enjoying seeing this chat rolling too. A lot of good friends are in here.
Yeah. So we'll give people a couple minutes to kind of get in here and play with the software a little bit. I see we have a question already about how somebody can see the main stage. I know Cole, who's the producer extraordinaire, is going to be helping us with answering all your questions. So please, if you're logging in and you're new to hop in, don't have any anxiety. Cole and Daniel and the rest of the team are going to be responding to you guys to make sure you get to where you need to be.
And I'm so excited. I actually put a suit jacket on, Elio. Like, nobody that knows me can actually believe that I got a suit jacket on today. So,
yeah, I think you know, you got to mix it up, Rick. You have to mix it up. You got to keep people on their toes. You know, sometimes you got to give them what they don't expect from you.
Well, and that's something that we try to do in the energy segment every day. You know.
Yeah.
Expect.
All right. So maybe we start cooking in about 2 minutes. Guys, if you're in the chat, this is meant to be an interactive event. We're going to have tons of opportunity to network with each other, but go ahead and just throw in the chat what you do, who you're with, and what are some things that you're looking to get out of this event. We want it to be very interactive while we give folks an opportunity to kind of jump on and join us, and then Rick and I will do our thing. So where you're from, what do you do? Who do you work with? And what are you looking forward to from this event? Now you're up in Warren. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. How are things up in Warren, Ohio right now, Rick?
Honestly, it's beautiful out. I like tried to angle my screen so you could see beautiful Courthouse Square behind me. Unfortunately, it's so bright and sunny, you can't see it. So no, it's awesome. You know, fall is just a magnificent season here in the Voltage Valley. So we're super blessed to be where we are. But Columbus is kicking too. I love your background. Are you at home or in office?
I'm in an office, man. I finally, you know, I'm a penny pincher. And for the 3 years since I've been in business, it was necessary to pinch those pennies, as many of the entrepreneurs here understand. But we've gotten to a point where we just outgrew me being at home or me going between spaces to try to record the podcast or do work. And so finally decided we needed a place to work. I'm here in my, it's still a co-working space, but it's because of COVID kind of not as busy as it once was. So I'm one of the few residents here. So I have the whole place to myself. So yeah, it makes me look professional, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure. We love co-working here at Bright. We've got a co-working space downstairs. I'd be filming from it, but, you know, all those people and stuff in the background it gets in the way from a good quality conference. So, man, I'm so excited to just like explore this app, like Hopin. It's really cool. And I'm also seeing, and we got somebody from Colorado, Kimberly. Oh, man. People from Cleveland.
Yeah, Dublin, Ohio, representing Kurt Hansen from Questline. Yeah, we got a lot of folks in here. So, Rick, I know Cole is going to probably go off on us if we don't keep to our schedule, or somebody will, because I know this program kind of keeps us on track, right? So we have to hit our cues. We can't be hosts, just kind of the friendly banter the whole time, right? So what do you think about getting started? Since we do have people here, people are interacting with each other. And just one more thing, if you know of someone else who's attending and you want to find them and you want to send them a direct message, you can do that by searching in people and sending people direct messages as well. So you can get that conversation started with people who you see and who you know. But Rick, if you're ready, I'm ready to get going.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off. So hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio's next Energy Summit. We're so excited here to learn and network with other passionate people about the future of energy in the region and beyond. So if you haven't noticed, I'm Rick Stockrider. I'm the CEO of Bright Energy Innovators, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Warren, Ohio. We truly wish we could be together in person, and we can't wait to come back together in the future when we can. But this year, we've put together a fast-paced, engaging summit, bringing together all the best aspects of a virtual event. We have a short program today, so please stick with us, engage, and have fun.
Thanks for that, Rick. Hello, everyone. My name is Elio Harmon, founder of 614 Startups. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, where God lives. We're so glad to have partnered with Bright to host this inaugural event to bring together founders, students, investors, engineers, and innovators of all kinds. As Rick mentioned, we have a short but exciting program today. We'll hear from an awesome keynote speaker. We'll have a rapid round from 4 startups really shaping the future of energy, not just in Ohio, but across the country and across the globe. We'll also have an exciting and engaging panel on commercializing energy technology. This is not just about doing research and having that research sit on the shelf. Let's get all that great research out in the market. Let's commercialize technology here in Ohio. And of course, networking. I don't know about you, Rick, but I've been cooped up in the house. And even if it's just virtually getting to meet some new people, I'm excited for all the networking opportunities that we've put together today. Now, a little bit about 614 Startups. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with us, but we are the fastest growing community of startup founders and investors in the Midwest. And our goal is to connect investors with investable startups. You can go to our website, 614startups with an S on the end.com, and you can check out our podcast, our blog. You can sign up for the newsletter and join the community. And as you see, we're getting into the event space. And there you'll be able to kind of learn about and interact with influential decision makers that are driving the Midwestern startup ecosystem forward. So join our community, engage with our content, make connections, and get involved.
And I'm sure a lot of y'all know about Bright. We're Ohio's only energy incubator. We're a nonprofit economic development organization. And as my man Cole says, we like to give unfair advantages to energy-focused startups. We serve and support these energy technology entrepreneurs through programs, services, events, and connections. We have lab, office, and co-working space here in Warren, but you can use our lab from anywhere in the country. And we serve startups across the state. We're really proud to showcase a few of those startups in our portfolio here today. And you can visit our website at bright.org to learn more about what we do. Before we kick things off with the keynote, we want to thank our sponsors for making this all possible and being great partners in accelerating the future of energy in the region. We're really appreciative of their support, so let's give it up for Notice. We can't clap. I can clap, but there, me and Neil will clap. Toyo Systems. We're doing this for everybody. AWH. Hey, if you guys haven't had a chance, AWH, have you checked out Ryan Frederick's book? Elio, do you have it on you?
I have it. I don't have it on me. I had it for rehearsal, and I don't have it on me right now. You know what? If you're still talking, man, keep the conversation going. I got to grab it so people can see it.
All right. And AWH and Eco Engineering. Man, we're so proud of these sponsors for coming together and being a part of this conference with us. ONES was really, we were looking at how we did ESB last year and wanting to work with Elio and see how everything we could really grow it together. So we got the Founders Manual here by Ryan Frederick. We absolutely love this book. So moving on to the next slide, and Elio's up.
Yeah, so thank you for that, guys. This is an absolutely incredible book. Thank you for being a sponsor. I'm not just saying that because they are sponsors, but the subtitle is A Guidebook for Becoming a Successful Entrepreneur. This is a must read. All right, so new software, new conference platform, just a few housekeeping notes before we get into the meat and potatoes of the conference. It's pretty intuitive, right? So like most Windows products, if you ever use Windows products, you kind of know, you click on this, it's going to happen. If you use a search box, what's going to happen. But just a couple reminders, okay? So on the right side of your screen, there's a chat function. Make sure you use it. If you have questions, if you want to interact, if some of the content resonates with you, please put your comments there. Don't be shy. You can also answer polls that we're going to have throughout this event. So we can get some feedback from you, see what resonates, see what are some things that you're doing in your business that might be beneficial to some other founders. And then if you go to the reception area, you can see the full schedule. So at any point, you can know where you are in the agenda and what's going to happen next. You can also see all the people who are attending the conference. I think I've referenced this a couple of times with the People tab. We're on the stage now. And that's what you're seeing now. It's the main live stage. And that's where most of this is going to happen. All the presentations, what Rick and I are doing right now. In the Sessions tab, you'll be able to take a look at group networking discussions. You can join a group for a theme discussion. So we have a lot of interesting things like water cooler, entrepreneur, innovation. So there are a couple of subject matters there that if you're an expert, we want you to be a part of, or if you're just interested, please join those groups. We'll talk more about those groups later. And then, of course, there's the networking tab down at the very bottom. There, once you click that networking tab, you will be automatically connected by the software system to somebody else in the conference. So you don't have to go to networking and find somebody to talk to. The software will help facilitate that conversation. Each conversation is speed networking, so it's going to be about 3 minutes, and then you'll be connected with someone else. We really encourage everybody to use this feature. It's going to be coming on later on in the event. Have fun, and you'll have a chance to chat with some really, really cool people.
All right. Well, I think they're tired of listening to us, Elio. If we're trying to hammer through all of this great content in an hour and a half, we better get it kicked off. So we're looking forward to the speed networking group conversations. But without further ado, it's time for our keynote, and it's presented by Notice. We're so lucky to have Alex here with us today, and I know we're going to learn a lot. It was very cool to actually have Lordstown Motors a couple of days ago reach out and say, hey, we're going to need to get a sub for us because the SPAC that's going on and everything. So they had to drop out, unfortunately. But man, did we pick up a rock star substitute. So Alex Fitzsimmons is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Efficiency in the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. Alex, do you say your title a lot? Because, wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, Rick, they say the longer your title is, the less important you are in general. So thanks for pointing that out.
I try to keep mine to 3 letters. So in this role, Alex leads a diverse energy efficiency program and R&D portfolio. It includes advanced manufacturing, building technologies, federal energy management, low-income weatherization, and intergovernmental partnerships. As part of the senior leadership, Alex advances administration priorities and initiatives to improve the energy efficiency of America's homes and businesses and to strengthen the energy competitiveness of the U.S. manufacturing sector. And I can't tell you how important that work is. Alex is advancing key initiatives on energy storage, plastics, recycling, critical minerals, water security, and field validation. And before joining the Department of Energy, Alex worked on energy policy for a variety of DC-based organizations, including the Institute of Energy Research. So thanks again so much for being here, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. Rick and Elio, happy to be here. Didn't realize this was Blue Suit Day, but got the memo, and I wasn't planning on wearing a suit, and then I saw Rick was actually wearing one for once, and I couldn't let him show me up, so had to just like you said, Elio, he's always keeping you on your toes, right? So that's what you got to do, but that's what innovation's all about, keeping people on their toes. So I'm happy to join both of y'all, and I won't prattle on for too long, but I'm happy to take any questions at the end. As Rick said, my name's Alex Fitzsimmons. I'm a Deputy Assistant Secretary here at the Department of Energy, focused on energy efficiency and renewable energy. And I oversee about a $1.1 billion R&D portfolio. And that portfolio covers a a wide range of advanced technologies in the energy space. So everything from strengthening the manufacturing competitiveness of the country, to enhancing the energy efficiency of building technologies, to research and development across a wide range of sectors. So this summit is focused on what's next for energy. So I'm going to spend a few minutes from my perspective, working in federal research and development in terms of what I see as the future of energy, and how I think technological innovation is really the foundation of our energy future, and has to be, and what we're doing at the department, and how we can potentially partner with you to advance a more secure, affordable, cleaner energy future. So there's a ton of topics we could talk about, but in the interest of time, I'll limit it to just a few different areas. So, at a top level, the Department of Energy is focused on advancing affordable, reliable, and clean energy to enhance America's economic growth and energy security. And that's vitally important to the future of the country. It's important to our country's commercial and industrial competitiveness. When people talk about how the United States has lost its competitive edge to some of our foreign adversaries like China, we are never going to have the cheapest labor because we have a high skilled workforce. We're never going to have, we're always going to have strong environmental protections. But the one thing we can win on is technological innovation. And we have to be able to innovate faster than our adversaries can copy. And so that's why we think innovation and research and development, and really the work that you all are doing as entrepreneurs and innovators, is vital to our energy future. And so I think if I'm looking at high growth opportunity areas, or certainly areas that DOE has prioritized, we are putting a heavy emphasis in areas like energy storage, in areas like critical minerals, and in areas like circular economy. And there's a lot of reasons. It's not everything we do, but those are a few things that we see as vital to the future. And a couple of the things I'd add to that list, really to round it out, would be things like the digitalization and cybersecurity of our energy sector, and also grid integration in general. So when you look at, let's talk about some of those grid-facing technologies first. So when you're talking about the future of our energy system, it's changing dramatically, and it's been changing much faster than most people anticipated. I mean, 5-10 years ago, no one would have guessed that the United States would be the number one producer of oil and natural gas in the world, exporting LNG to 36 countries, but also be one of the leading wind and solar producers, seeing how quickly costs for renewable energy have declined, seeing how rapidly electric vehicle battery costs have declined, seeing how cheap LED light bulbs have gotten. And these are technological innovations that are driving massive changes in the energy system. And the big challenge moving forward, because of this rapidly evolving system, at least in the electricity generation side, is less about having affordable kilowatt hours of electricity, because we have a lot of low-cost sources of supply. The bigger challenge moving forward is going to be, how do you integrate all of these new technologies together in a way that maintains an affordable, reliable, resilient, and clean energy system? And that's where technologies like energy storage come into play. So earlier this year, Secretary Brouillette announced the DOE Energy Storage Grand Challenge, which is DOE's first ever comprehensive strategy to position the U.S. for global leadership in the energy storage technologies of the future. And not just in the research and development, but also the manufacturing of new technologies. We have a motto here at DOE with the Energy Storage Grand Challenge that basically says, our goal is to innovate here, to make here, and deploy everywhere. And so we have to be able to do all of the early stage research and development, but also commercialize utilize and demonstrate technologies. And that's where groups like Bright Energy can play such a vital role in terms of working with the private sector, entrepreneurs, building an innovation ecosystem that can support the commercialization and the scale up of entirely new industries. I mean, the electric vehicle battery market, as Rick knows very well, in what is rapidly becoming Voltage Valley there in Ohio and across the Midwest and other parts of the country, didn't exist several years ago. People were not thinking about this, but because EV battery costs have come down so dramatically, and you're seeing a lot of automakers, big and small, startup auto companies breaking into this market, some of which Bright has funded and sponsored, there's a huge opportunity to get involved in the energy storage market. But that's not just on the transportation side, although that's what's driving EV battery deployment in the short term. There's also grid scale battery storage. And so a lot of people are looking at deploying lithium ion technology on the grid. But beyond lithium ion technology, we're going to need other forms of storage that are better at long duration. So lithium ion batteries are great for electric vehicles, but they're not so great if you're trying to prepare for an electric grid that has high penetrations of wind and solar. You need longer forms of storage, long duration storage. So that can be anything from redox flow batteries, new battery chemistries, but also energy storage technologies that go beyond batteries, and even technologies that go beyond storage, right? So because the goal ultimately is flexibility and resiliency, and storage is one tool in the toolkit, but it's not the only tool. So just yesterday, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina with Energy Secretary Bruyette as he was announcing this new $65 million funding opportunity we have that's called Connected Communities. And this is essentially to develop a national network of energy efficient, grid interactive, connected communities across the country that are designed to integrate a lot of these distributed energy resources with energy efficiency and energy storage, solar PV, EV charging into smart neighborhoods, into local communities. So these are partnerships with home builders, commercial real estate developers, electric utilities, and technology providers. So I encourage you, if you're in any of those spaces, I encourage you to check out the funding opportunity announcement that we just issued. It's on the street and it's open for application. But that's the sort of example of new technologies that we need to invest in that are driving our energy future forward, that are contributing to a more efficient, flexible, and resilient system. You know, we need a suite of technologies, a holistic approach to energy flexibility that includes storage, but also includes other things like dynamic building control. So this is where you get into the digitalization of the energy sector, where you have connected appliances that are connected to each other so that you're empowering consumers to manage their energy use more efficiently, but then also connect back and interact with the electric grid so that buildings and the homes and buildings that we spend 90% of our time in aren't just passive consumers of load, but with the right technologies and with the right cybersecurity protections can actually become dynamic grid assets that can be virtual batteries that can manage their supply and demand on a sub-second basis and shift supply and demand to meet the needs of what we know is an evolving grid. So for those of you who are in that space, I think that's an emerging area that has both hardware and software applications for those of you who are interested. So that's on the energy system side and more like the electric grid side, both transmission and distribution. And then, but of course, thinking broader about all of the technologies we invest in, I think two of the biggest challenges that we face are critical mineral supply and circular economy. So these are issues that should have bipartisan support that really cut across the political spectrum because they enable, or they could be, if left unaddressed, barriers to further innovation, right? So when you think about critical minerals, all of the energy storage technologies we have rare earths and critical minerals in them. Solar panels and wind turbines, LED light bulbs, battery storage technologies, they all have critical minerals. And we depend too much on foreign sources, particularly from foreign adversaries like China, on our critical mineral supply chain. It's why President Trump has issued an executive order to have a secure and reliable supply chain of critical minerals. It's why DOE invests tens, if not $100 million a year into every stage of the critical mineral supply chain, because critical minerals are essential to our economic security. They're essential to all of the advanced technologies that I just mentioned that we're trying to deploy to have a more flexible, resilient, and cleaner energy future. So we have a Critical Materials Institute that's a national consortia run out of Ames National Laboratory in conjunction with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, others, and private sector partners, where we pour a lot of investment into that. We also issue competitive funding opportunities to invest in a wide range of technologies to have a more secure and reliable supply chain of critical minerals. And then the last one that I'll mention just briefly is a circular economy, because again, we have to find a way to deal with the environmental legacy of all of these new technologies we're developing, right? We have to be able to, we have to have a solution to when we have to dispose of all of these wind turbines, dispose of all of these solar panels that we're deploying. There's currently not much of a strategy to do that. These are massive turbine blades. They're not easy to recycle. Solar PV, not easy to recycle. Plastic, which is an energy product, not easy to recycle. It's why late last year, the Secretary announced the Plastics Innovation Challenge, which is focused on developing more energy efficient ways of breaking down existing plastics, but then also manufacturing new plastics that are recyclable by design and building out a new supply chain around the circular economy for all of our energy related technologies. So those critical minerals and circular economy are kind of platform technologies that are necessary to enable the sustainable growth of clean energy technologies. And then all of the other technologies I mentioned around energy storage, digitalization, and cybersecurity are necessary as we move to a more distributed energy system, one that's more diverse, that has more intermittent renewables. We have to be able to be flexible and resilient and manage supply and demand in ways that we've never had to before. So I think it's an exciting time to be in energy, especially to be an energy entrepreneur like all of you. So I just want to let you know we're here to be a resource for you. We invest hundreds of millions of dollars a year across all of these technologies. So please get in touch with us. Let us know how we can be a resource, because we are here to serve you. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Alex, that was awesome.
See you, Rick.
Hey, I don't know if you saw, but I just personally wanted to thank the Office of Tech Transitions. Bright was just awarded one of the EPIC grants. So this community that you're seeing here is one of the top 20 communities in the country as far as I'm concerned, and apparently Office of Tech Transitions in the DOE is concerned. So I just want to thank you so much for the support in that space.
Yep, and congrats on that. Congrats on that, Rick. That's a big deal.
Yeah, no, we're very excited about it. So yeah, we got about 2 more minutes with you. So one question that I saw come in is, what about global warming and reducing the environmental impact of energy consumption? From Mike Holt.
Yeah. Look, I think that everything the Department of Energy does, whenever you're talking about increasing energy efficiency, whenever you're talking about promoting the development of renewable energy, electric vehicle batteries, all of this stuff contributes to a cleaner energy future. And it's something we take very seriously. And in fact, I think it's something the United States has been leading the world in. If you look at the data from the Department of Energy's own Energy Information Administration, the U.S. is one of less than a handful of countries on Earth that has actually managed to reduce our energy-related CO2 emissions in the last decade. And that's largely because of all of the positive change we've seen in our energy system, with more natural gas becoming the #1 oil and gas producer in the world, increasing our supply of wind and solar on the grid, increasing the energy efficiency of our manufacturing and building sectors, deploying EV batteries, seeing the cost of LED light bulbs decline by 90%. All of this, which is driven by technological innovation, has contributed to the United States leading the world in reducing CO2 emissions. So that's all a win-win, both for our economy, promoting regional economic development in places like Ohio, and it's good for the environment.
That's awesome. It's great to see how passionate you are about your work, man. It's not everybody gets up and gets excited about this type of stuff every day. I know I'm one of them. I know Elio's one of them, and Alex, obviously you're one of them. So thanks so much for joining us today, man. I appreciate you.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Elio.
Thanks, Alex.
So I can't wait to dig a little deeper into some of those topics during our group networking sessions that are happening soon. But now we're going to move into our rapid round. We're going to hear quick 5-minute pitches from 4 of the startups in our portfolio, highlighting their technology, market, and strategy. We have Notice, which is a smart glass company that recently relocated to Columbus from Singapore. Their True Tint technology is something out of a sci-fi movie. It has numerous applications and a real potential to transform buildings. We have Lion Tamer, who's taking a unique approach to making batteries safer, which has huge implications for what energy storage will look like in years to come. And they're leveraging exciting partnerships to make it happen. Brilliancy is helping to transform the energy industry by connecting utilities with customers directly. You'll see what this means and why it matters. And Hyperion Motors is driving the future of electric vehicles and pioneering hydrogen fuel cell technology and some of the coolest cars you've ever seen. And we'd like to thank AWH and Toyo for sponsoring this part of the session. So without further ado, we'll give it up to Mike and Notice.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Let me share my screen. Let's see. Okay, all good? Is this working? Okay, all right. So we're Notice, and we all know global warming is a major problem. And I used to think this was only about oil, cars, and cows. And Notice, we're passionate about solving global warming by addressing its biggest contributor, and that's buildings. We came together to create Notice, to do smart glass, to reduce CO2 emissions and improve the efficiency of buildings. Well, cities use 40%, or buildings use 40% of a city's electricity and produce 45% of its CO2 emissions. Now, large buildings spend a couple of $1 million in electricity annually. With Notice, windows are electrically controllable, instantly switching the color, the tint, and infrared. And the impact? A reduction in building energy consumption and CO2 emissions. But not only do we do that, we actually generate electricity. We use the windows to generate electricity, and that further reduces energy demand and creates carbon neutral buildings. So consider Mr. Kim, who runs a large sole office building. He's got 2,000 windows in the building, and he wants to do something about his CO2 footprint, and he wants to reduce his energy costs. Let me show you how he does it with Notice. He installs Notice Smart Glass windows that are connected to our Windows management system that automatically set the tint, the color, and the infrared to optimize conditions in his building, reducing energy usage by using natural light and reducing heating and cooling costs by controlling the infrared. We can monitor how much energy is generated by the windows. We actually take the infrared from the windows that's not used to heat it to then generate electricity. We can see how much energy is being saved based on natural light and using infrared, and we can control all of those windows. The impact, he has a carbon neutral building. He saves $800,000 a year in electricity. It actually generates electricity. So how do we do this? We use nanoparticles. Actually, it's so easy to explain. You know the louvers that are on your window? You pull the string, it rotates the louvers, determines how much light comes in. We do exactly the same thing. We just do it with nanoparticles that are 1 micron long, and we rotate those nanoparticles when a voltage is applied. Some of the nanoparticles control light, and some of the nanoparticles control infrared. And then we redirect infrared that we don't use in the building to heat it to solar cells on the window's edge to generate electricity. Now, this electricity is then used to power the windows, but also used to power other things. So like you have big solar panels on the facade of your building. So we take nanoparticles. These are in a liquid that are in micro imprinted film. This is laminated in glass. And when a voltage is applied across that glass, it causes the particles to rotate. And that gives us the ability to control the light and the infrared. They're color coded, and that gives us the ability to have any color. And we use multiple layers, RGB, and that gives us the ability to select whatever color we want. In fact, with the nano wells, these are basically pixels. And we basically have a display, a transparent display. So every window on your building becomes a display. So we're 10 times lower cost than other smart glass solutions. We switch in under a second. It's the only color smart glass solution in the world. And we have infinite tints, continuous infrared control, and that's what saves energy in buildings. Smart glass exists. It's a big market already, but it's been held back. The total glass market's 140 billion, but only 6 billion of it's smart glass. And that's because of cost. We reduce the cost dramatically, allowing this to be used everywhere. And the impact on energy efficiency, on global warming, CO2 reduction is increases and is substantial as we go forward with more buildings. We work with glass companies. We sell to glass companies, and we do that through joint development agreements and then selling them our film. We have a very experienced nanoparticle research team. We've recently moved the company to Columbus. We originally started in Singapore, but we're here in Columbus now. So that's Notus. Happy to tell you all about it, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike. All right. And make sure you get at him in the chat, and hopefully you'll see him in the one-on-one networking sessions. Up next, we got my man Steve Cummings from Lion Tamer.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rick. I am trying to, oh, here we go now. I'm going to share my screen. It was not letting me until just now, but it really is great to see everyone. Can everyone see my screen now? Okay, great. Well, good afternoon. My name is Steve Cummings with Lion Tamer. It's really great to see everyone here. There's a lot of partners, collaborators, and even a few coworkers that I saw on the line. I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about what we are doing with Lion Tamer, which is gas detection technology that's developed specifically for lithium-ion batteries. And I'm going to do that kind of by telling a little bit of the story of Lion Tamer and how we got started, and then just touch briefly on a little bit of what the capabilities are and how we're addressing the energy storage market with this technology. So Alex mentioned in his keynote the importance of energy storage and how vital it is to our energy future. We began working on technologies for energy storage back in 2010 after the U.S. Navy had an advanced seal delivery system that was a 1.2 megawatt hour battery-powered submarine that at the time was the largest lithium-ion battery assembled in the world. The control of that battery kind of went sideways. There was a fire, subsequent explosions that ended up canceling that particular project. But what it did is it opened up opportunities for innovation in battery safety. So Nexceris, the parent company of Lion Tamer, began working on how do we apply gas detection to address the unique and new hazards that are associated with this technology that's being deployed in new markets and applications. And so what we did is through a number of projects with both the U.S. Navy as well as the Department of Energy with an ARPA-E program, as well as collaborating with many of our partners and customers throughout the years. We have tested hundreds, if not thousands, of lithium-ion batteries. And when we test batteries, typically we're taking them through the point of failure. So we're looking at what is it that can cause a lithium-ion battery to fail? How does that battery subsequently fail? And then understanding the stages of that failure, how can we put in detection and protection devices into that failure sequence in order to better protect these installations? So this is a very high-level summary of kind of what we have consolidated over the years of testing that we've done. And we've broken the stages of the battery failure down into 4 unique stages. The first one is an abuse factor. This is going to be something that takes the battery from a stable state into a state where it eventually goes into thermal runaway. This, for a lithium-ion battery, can be thermal, electrical, or mechanical abuse. And as you begin to abuse that cell, there's mechanisms inside the chemistry of the battery that begin to generate pressure. Once that pressure reaches a threshold, there's what we call the off-gas event. And we see that this happens regardless of battery chemistry, battery form factor, battery manufacturer. It's an event that's unique to lithium-ion batteries. And if left unchecked, what happens is those damages continue to occur. They become more exothermic, and then that's what results in thermal runaway. This is what we see in the issues that were occurring in hoverboards, in the Samsung phones, some of those stories that I'm sure many on the line are familiar with. In addition to that, these are the same failure mechanisms and pathways that exist in the 29 catastrophic energy storage system fires that have happened in South Korea. The one that happened in Arizona last April at the APS site, just in Surprise, Arizona, outside of Phoenix. And more recently, there was another large system fire in Liverpool just about 3 weeks ago. So what we focus on is understanding what these failure pathways are. And as I mentioned earlier, understanding the unique hazards that are associated with those lithium-ion batteries. And we actually provide the LionTamer technology for the detection of that off-gas event. And being able to detect that event early in the pathway of a thermal runaway event gives us the situational awareness, early warning, and ability to mitigate that failure so that we can stop that, shut that battery down, electrically isolate it before you get to the point of thermal runaway. So we've been working in utility markets for a few years now in deploying systems to protect these. It's really something that the market needs at this time in order to secure this strong future for lithium-ion based energy storage.
Awesome. Steve, that was great. Thanks so much. And please connect with Steve and LionTamer in the chats or in the next one-on-one. So we're now super excited to have Laura Steinbrink come up. So she is the CEO of Brilliancy, and I've got to know Laura over the last couple of years, and she is a visionary rock star. So go ahead, Laura.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. I'm so glad to be here. Let's see if I can get this to go. So I assume you all can see my screen. Yeah, I guess it goes back and forth, right? So I am excited to talk to you about Brilliancy. Brilliancy is a software, not a hardware, but a software. And to Alex's conversation, we are a connected community product. We are a digital platform with mobile and web applications. I realize this is probably a little tech small for you, so I'll just try to summarize. Mobile and web applications, and what we do for the customer, which would be anyone on this telephone or on this Zoom call, or whatever this platform is, we are the one place where you can manage your electric, gas, and water utility. So you can take a moment while I'm talking and go online to the App Store or the Google Play and download Brilliancy's version 1 mobile app right now. I will tell you we are about to release our version 2 in the next probably 4 to 6 weeks. It's got a lot of new robust capabilities, and I'm really excited to tell you about it. So what I'm going to do is really quickly flip through some of the capabilities of this platform from both the customer's perspective and from the utility perspective. Because what I said, the one place you can connect your electric, gas, and water utilities. We also have an opportunity for third parties to be involved, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. So really quickly, from the customer standpoint, it's a place where you can see your usage. How much have you used? If you're interested in saving energy, you can set goals and understand what that means from both a consumption reduction and a financial reduction. And there's a library of resources from tips and videos and how-tos in order to take the actions that you need to do both inside your home and your business in order to drive the change that you are seeking to achieve. You get to receive real-time alerts. It's a two-way communication platform. So you both send messages and receive messages. So you have an outage, you have a leak, you go to Brilliancy app, you report your problem, and your utility receives the notice of it. If you have a customer service complaint, you go in here, you fill out a ticket, you send your message. They want to tell you it's time to pay your bill, they send you a message, or perhaps they have another product or service that they thought you might be interested in. They can message you about that as well inside our app. Multi-level properties and account permissions. So let's say that you take care of your elderly parents. You can connect their home and their utilities. It doesn't matter what state they're in. You can connect them to your Brilliancy portal. Perhaps you own the pizza shop down the street. You can put that in your portal as well. Maybe you own a multi-tenant building and it has a master meter and you have tenants. Tenants and landlords can be in this platform as well. And that's a really differentiator of our product, that it allows this parent-child relationship from both the account holder as well as the property. So what we're out here to do is to help everyone in the ecosystem be more efficient. It's both efficient in your consumption, efficient in the amount of time that you're spending dealing with your utilities, and then for the utilities, efficient in how they're spending money and achieving their goals. So we help reduce call center volumes, we save time, and we save money for both you and your utility. And we offer an integrated bill payment platform. So let's say, and I know you're going to hear a little bit from Nick, my colleague at Dominion. They're my favorite utility to talk about because they give me a great opportunity to show you how it works. So perhaps they want to send you a notice it's time to pay your bill. They can do that for you. And then if it's time for the other utility, perhaps it's your water utility, you would know which utility it was communicating with you. But at the end of the day, who doesn't want to be thanked and rewarded? So Brilliancy circles around a gamification function where we are rewarding people with points and badges for doing what it is that you want them to do. The admin portal on the utility side drives data and analytics. It allows the utilities to segment customers and to be flexible so that they can drive the behaviors that they want to get to the place they want to be tomorrow. They can use the data and this platform to drive behavior to achieve tomorrow's economy and tomorrow's utility ecosystem. And all by saving time and saving money, and a variety of resources inside, like pinpointing where we have GIS, and so that utilities can really understand where it is. So overall, we're a digital platform helping utilities and their customers save costs, save money around communications and transactions. And I'm back here because I can't do both at the same time, so I don't know how I'm doing on time, Cole. If you want to give me a little signal. I guess I'm doing still okay. I'm done. Great. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm showing back up. Awesome. Great job, Laura. So right now we're waiting for Angelo Cafanteris. We're super excited to have him on. They've been doing a lot of cool stuff. I just saw him on an article in CNN the other day. So he's really, really rocking it. And we're having a little bit of technical difficulties in the background. Totally on us, Elio. You know what that's about, right?
That's why we get paid the big bucks, right? To make people not feel the weight, right? And so I want to share some of the notes that I took during those presentations. One of the things a couple of things I came away with from the notice perspective, which are buildings are kind of a big player in the issue around climate change. And the fact that a solution as simple as smart glass, when executed well and is affordable when deployed in multiple settings, like in a building or in a car or even in residential, can impact climate change as well as drive down costs. I thought that was very interesting. And then exploding smartphones. Talk about getting everybody's attention in terms of a problem that you're trying to solve. Anybody else in here keep their cell phone on their person, in their pocket, right? Any company that is helping prevent exploding smartphones, Lion Tamer, thank you very much. You're protecting all of us, right? I'm rooting for you. And then finally, Brilliancy. As you know, the population is aging, the graying of America. We all have an elderly person in our life, or if you don't now, you will at some point. And having a central hub where you might even help them with their bills. We know there are a lot of people out there that prey on seniors. And if you can have a place where their utilities come to you and you can keep some control over that, my goodness, what a problem to solve. So a lot of exciting startups. No pressure, Angelo. No pressure, dude. We're ready for you.
We'll figure it out.
All right, well, let's give it up to Angelo.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me, everyone. Scott, Elio, Rick, sorry, and everyone who's spoken. It's been really wonderful, and I'm just so proud to be a part of this and seeing Ohio really trailblaze a path into new energy. It's really an opportunity for us to show the rest of the country and the world what we can do in the Midwest. And so I'm really proud to be a part of this. I know we don't have a lot of time. And I wanted to sync up with the team to make sure that we have everything that you guys are going to want to see. So I'll go over a brief presentation. I'll kind of skip through some things and focus on what I think will be most important for this conversation. And then we may have time for a video leading up to or at the end. So I'll let the Bright team handle that. So let's go ahead and begin. We'll go ahead and get things set up for the actual presentation. So 1 second here while I get the screen share ready. And here we go.
See it.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Presentation mode as well, if you can.
All right, guys. So can everybody see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. You should be seeing the vehicle on the screen there. All right. So the first thing is to kind of talk about our background. What we are is we're built more like an aerospace company. We've got a lot of people from the aerospace business working to help us get to that next level what we're trying to achieve. And really what that is bringing fuel cell technology to the rest of the world by way of hydrogen. And so let's kind of just quickly jump in. This is where we're located. This is our campus over here in California. It's 3 buildings. I'm located in the building right here in the front. And there's 2 buildings behind us where we do the R&D and further testing. So this is the current location we're at, and actually really excited about moving a lot more operations in Ohio in a couple different places, which we're excited to share very, very soon. So to begin, a lot of people wonder, what are we? And while it may look like a car company, really, this is a vehicle technology company specifically with hydrogen. So I'm going to talk briefly about what that means and what hydrogen is all about. And first and foremost, people think there's a difference between a battery electric vehicle and a hydrogen electric vehicle in terms of the electric side, electrification. And I just want to show this slide to talk about those differences. So what you're doing is storing electrons. You're storing energy. And in a lithium-ion battery, you're doing that in chemistry with the actual lithium. But it's the same is true for hydrogen, in which case you're storing the actual electrons in molecular form between the atoms that make up the molecule. So hydrogen exists on its own, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. In molecular form, it likes to bond with itself. And what bonds it is this electron itself that it shares with the other hydrogen atom. And that's a very strong bond. But when you pass it through a fuel cell stack, which is actually arranged much like a loaf of bread, each one of those slices of bread has a chemistry on it that actually allows it to separate that hydrogen molecule in its requisite atoms. And what that does basically is it releases that electron, and that electron powers the car, and it recombines with oxygen to create water. So you're starting off with hydrogen, and you're ending with electricity and water. Now, that's how power is made. Let's talk about where hydrogen comes from. Now, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, but it does not occur naturally here on Earth, even though we're made of hydrogen, even though hydrogen is in so many things that we use daily. The way that you essentially get hydrogen is one of two of these main ways. Now, there's many other ways, but these are the two main ways. Let's start with electrolysis, which you guys might be familiar with. It's often referred to also as water splitting. That's whenever you start off with H2O. This is very similar in chemistry to the previous fuel cell module, except in this case, you're adding water and you're adding electricity. And now your byproduct is reversed. Your byproduct is now actually the split piece result, which is hydrogen in H2 form and oxygen. So that's a very simple way to do it, and it will take some energy to do that. And the key is to tie that in with other forms of energy that are not properly being used and are being curtailed. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But the other way to do it is through a process called steam methane reformation. This ties back into what Alex was saying. The United States has a very, very large amount of natural gas. And it's a really great opportunity because what you're doing here is you're taking natural gas, right? So CH4, you're applying heat through steam. And in the process, you're breaking apart that carbon from that hydrogen. And now you have actually 4 hydrogen atoms, and you're left with this pure hydrogen and this carbon. Now, the real beauty here is that carbon does not have to be an emission. You could actually recapture that carbon with this process so that it's completely emissions free. So these are 2 wonderful ways to create hydrogen. They both have their uses. Steam methane reformation is wonderful for America because we have so much natural gas. And what's really great about it is it's 90% efficient, which is very, very efficient. And then whereas the other one, you do lose about 27% of the energy. But the beauty there is if you combine that with the right off-peak electric, whether it be through wind, whether it be through solar, whether it be through nuclear, there's so much energy that cannot be stored in large volumes. And this goes again back to what Alex was saying. We have to find better ways to store electrical energy long term, and batteries just really don't do it for us. So that's just one thing I wanted to share with you, the basic understanding of how hydrogen works. Now let's talk about the benefits of hydrogen, and there are many, but these are the 6 main ones I'd like to really make sure everybody understands. The first one is the range. That's self-evident in the car that we've produced. Basically, we have a car that can go 1,000 miles range, and that's because the more hydrogen you add to a system, it doesn't actually add what's called a weight penalty. As opposed to a battery electric technology, the more batteries you add, the more batteries you need, the bigger your brakes become, the heavier the vehicle becomes, the less efficient it becomes. So in terms of range, it's really wonderful. Now let's move on to endurance. Now this is really exciting because what this means essentially is it's more durable. It can operate in really cold climates and really hot climates, whereas batteries do not really perform efficiently in either. And if it gets too hot, they tend to, well, like we talked about, explode. So what's really great about hydrogen is it can operate very, very cold climates. And as you guys know, and I'm from Ohio, we get cold climates in Ohio. And it also operates in really, really hot climates, which would be like Arizona. Now, this is great because in addition to being able to operate in really hot and cold climates, it also operates 24/7. It doesn't need a breather. It can go nonstop. And that's really, really important, as I mentioned before, and any sort of other application outside of vehicles. Let's say a building needs backup power. Let's say anything needs backup power or long-term storage. Hydrogen is really a great solution. So moving on from that, refuel time. Now, this is something that we're pretty spoiled with hydrocarbons. Basically, we want to stop and get fuel quickly. And the problem with batteries is we are going to have to wait a long time. Usually it's an overnight charge. And if there's a quick charge situation, that charge actually degrades the battery. It's something that most people don't know. Every time you add electrical heat to the battery, it degrades it. It's the reason why if you leave your cell phone in the sun, it's going to actually have less capacity. And you can always check that out, by the way, in the settings of your phone, battery health. You'll find out after a few amount of years, the battery doesn't go up to full charge. The beauty here is you can refuel in just 3 to 5 minutes with a hydrogen vehicle without degrading your system. It's really, really advantageous for daily use and anything that wants to go on and on and on. That ties right back into not just endurance, but also industrial applications. So refuel time is really, really important, I think, to a lot of consumers. It's something that hydrogen has a benefit. Now let's go on to the life. the entire life of the vehicle. And I know that this is an important slide. I really want to make sure we get this across. The life of the actual battery is going to be limited. And that's a problem because essentially the more you charge it, the more you quick charge it, it's going to die sooner. Whereas hydrogen can actually last about 2 to 2.5 times longer in terms of its charge cycle. So in terms of actual life, it's really really important that you want to look at the entire basic path from wheel to wells of the vehicle. And when you look at that, hydrogen actually is a lot better in terms of life. Continuing along is reusability. Now, this is something that's been misrepresented in many different, I guess, say, authorities. Basically, people think that lithium-ion batteries are recyclable, and it's true. You could absolutely recycle anything, really. It's just so cost prohibitive that nobody ever does it. So the mining for lithium-ion and the actual reusability of lithium-ion is very, very toxic because it does not get oftentimes recycled, in fact, all times, because of the cost. And then in addition to that, the mining process is really, really, really toxic. On the flip side, hydrogen can very, very easily in fuel cell form be basically liquefied and turned into another fuel cell very, very efficiently. So it's very important to understand the details. Many times the devil lies in those details. And when you look at those details, you'll find hydrogen has some really, really amazing benefits. Lastly is the density. I want to talk about that briefly. Basically, this is my favorite. It's the gravimetric energy density. Basically, because hydrogen is so light, pound for pound, nothing will ever beat it. It's why NASA's been using hydrogen for 60 years. Basically, the lighter a vehicle becomes, the more efficient it becomes, the easier it is for it to stop faster, to accelerate faster, and to go around a corner quicker. So that makes it 160% more efficient in our vehicle from other battery vehicles. So I wanted to really drive these points home as a focus, and I'll just kind of wrap up after this. So just briefly, there are all great things with hydrogen, but a few things that are barriers. The cost of the module is expensive because it's using platinum. We're working on ways to bring those costs down. There are things that do not use rare earth metals that can make that happen. The storage is the other piece of it. Right now, it's high pressure storage. We are working on technology, a phase 2 technology that eliminates the necessity for very, very high pressure storage, which is very exciting. And then lastly is infrastructure. And it's circled because this is really what we wanted to focus on. Essentially, the infrastructure is the most expensive thing of the whole equation. And our goal was to really bring that cost down in a way that everybody had access to more hydrogen stations in addition to hydrogen per kilogram being cheaper than what's currently offered here in California. So our goal is to build stations across the country and really enable this entire market. And we wanted to build a vehicle, as you can see, that told the story. So the goal was chapter 1, why is hydrogen so great? Chapter 2, this is how everyone can use hydrogen. And there's many other subsequent chapters to follow we're really excited to share about. But ultimately what it means is we really wanted to tell that story and communicate that story because at the end of the day, it's about education. So this is the part. This is what kind of communicates that entire piece. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it and if you saw it before, but this video is the launch video, and it kind of goes through everything that we've done to achieve this. Now, Rick, if you'd like me to stop it here soon, we can do that. If you want me to let this play, that's fine as well.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to answer for Rick because the producer is in the proverbial ear here. We have to move on to networking. So where can folks find the video if they want to watch it?
Okay.
Where can we find the video if they want to watch it?
I'm going to bounce out, and I'll let you guys take lead.
All right, well, drop the video in the chat, please, so people can check that out. You guys can go watch Hyperion. Very, very exciting technology. Now it's time for networking. As you guys can see, at the very top of your screen, you should be able to see the agenda after the session. So if you look to the top of your screen, you can drop down the agenda and see that at 3:10, we are going to be starting our panel discussion. But we have a couple of minutes now for group sessions. If you look off to the left, you should see a sessions button with now in red. Hop in there, a little bit of networking available for you. Find a subject that you're interested in, and then join us back here on stage at 3:10. Thank you, folks.
We're live. Welcome back, everybody. I should get my notes. Hopefully, Elio's on his way back here shortly because he's got this intro. It's all right if not, because I know all of these humans pretty well. All right, Cole, we're gonna wait on you. You tell us to go. If it's time to go, we go. Go, we do. I wonder if everybody's probably enjoying the networking right now, or the sessions. But what do you guys think? It's pretty good stuff so far.
For sure.
Love it. Great content.
Yeah. Yeah, it was getting Alex Fitzsimmons was really awesome. It was really great to hear his perspective on all of this.
It's not often I get a shout out in a 5-minute pitch. So thanks, Laura.
All right, it looks like Mike's jumping on.
Hi, everybody.
We are.
Hey, Mike.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. We've got our panel together. I'm super excited about this. A lot of my good friends are on this. And I'm just going to go ahead and pass it over to Courtney. My notes say Gross, but I'm very aware it's Garowitz now from Techstars. So, Courtney, take it away.
All right. Thanks so much, Rick. First of all, just thank you so much to the panelists for being here. Thank you to all of the attendees. I'm getting some echo and feedback, so I hope you guys can't hear that. I'm just going to keep talking. But what we're going to talk about today on this panel is really the future of energy and specifically commercializing energy technologies. So, really excited to have all the panelists here. I'm going to give everybody just a quick 60 seconds to introduce themselves so you know a little bit about us and our backgrounds. So first, I'll just start with myself. My name is Courtney, and as Rick mentioned, I work for Techstars, which is the worldwide network that helps entrepreneurs succeed. We run just about 50 accelerator programs around the globe, and I'm focused specifically on our global student entrepreneurship network. So we work with 30 universities in the US and overseas. But I really started my career as a clean tech entrepreneur. I started a company when I was in school. Here I started in Akron, Ohio. I'm still based out of Akron, Ohio, so I work remotely. And spent a few years at NASA Glenn Research Center working as a power systems engineer and decided to fully dedicate my career to helping founders. So it's just a pleasure to be here and to moderate the panel today. So I'm going to start with Max. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in about 60 seconds, and then we'll move it along.
Sure. My name is Max Briggs. I am currently, my current title is the program executive for NASA's iTech program. I'm also an advisor for entrepreneurial engagement for the Space Technology Mission Directorate. I originally got my start at NASA as an engineer, a power systems engineer, actually right down the hall from Courtney. So I was working on nuclear power systems for space applications. Most of that was Brayton and Stirling engines, and both radioisotope and nuclear reactor power systems. So that's my technical background. After that, I hopped over to the business side. I did what NASA calls strategic technology partnerships, and then soon went on to SBIR, where I managed the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate portfolio and was put in charge of trying to figure out how to lower barriers of entry to entrepreneurial focused companies that would like to get into SBIR but don't find that program attractive. So hopefully in the next couple of cycles, we'll have some exciting things to talk about in SBIR, as well as iTech and entrepreneurial engagement.
Great, thanks so much, Max. Nick, I'm going to shuffle it over to you.
Yeah, Nick Pirro, currently innovation guide at Dominion Energy, located in Cleveland. Spent a lot of time working startups to try to gain overcome that barrier to get into a utility company and test some products out and pilot some products, whatnot. But spent a lot of time doing that, a lot of time on culture internally. As many of you may know, if you've ever tried to work with a utility or for a utility, it is a slow go on pretty much everything we do. So we're trying to speed that up a little bit in this role. I've been at Dominion about 11 years now, had various engineering supervision roles throughout the company. Been in this role a couple years now. Excited to be here, and thanks.
Great, thanks. Mike, last but not least.
Great, thanks. So I'm Mike Holt. I run a venture capital firm called Get to Volume, and we're set up in Singapore, but we've recently also moved to Columbus. So we're here in Ohio with a focus on the Midwest, but maybe Ohio more specifically. We focus on early stage core tech B2B companies, and that spans several sectors, but we've done a lot in terms of materials companies, semiconductor, enterprise software, and IoT, and just getting started with companies here in Ohio. So the first fund is in Singapore, and it's been around a while. Yeah, so that's what I do. Here looking for exciting, innovative companies.
Wonderful. Well, you'll definitely find them here, Mike. Pleasure to have all of you again. So we're going to dive right in because we've only got about 10 or 15 minutes left. So rapid fire questions. When I ask a question, I'd ask that each of you answer. And for now, we'll just go in the order that we just did introductions. So first, I'm curious. We have three very diverse perspectives here on this panel, and I'd be interested to hear from your perspective. Where are we currently seeing the greatest technological advances in the energy industry? Where are we making the most progress today? So Max, I'd love to hear from your perspective. Where are we doing the greatest work?
Well, I would say, unfortunately, I would say at NASA, the most impressive things that we have going on probably aren't directly energy related right now. I think that we've done a lot of good things. Anybody who's seen like the Sky Crane landing on Mars, we're doing a lot of things with entry, descent, and landing. Autonomy, dealing with latency as you go to Mars and go further out. You have to have more and more decision making occurring locally. And we've been doing having a lot of progress on that. Before I actually jumped to the business side, maybe I'm self-plugging here and thinking to myself a little more. One of the biggest advances I thought that we had is a project called Kilopower, which we ran the first nuclear-powered test. It was actually at a DOE lab where we generated electricity on scale for a science mission using a nuclear reactor. And that power system is currently slated to be used as they develop architectures for sustained lunar presence. And so I would argue, I would say solar is still kind of the go-to power source for NASA, but I think it's exciting that we have some competitors to solar now, especially in missions that we have that are really ambitious where solar doesn't work. And for example, people exploring Europa, where you have to dig through a mile of ice to try to figure out if there's sharks underneath there. And so when you do that, you can't bring solar panels with you. And so I think that those capabilities to deliver large scale power for ambitious missions is the best thing that NASA has going forward in power.
Well, that's fascinating, Max. I love that perspective. And Nick, perhaps moving to you, where are you seeing the greatest technological advances right now in the energy industry?
Really, I think it's more of a convergence of technologies that are coming together right now, whether it's equipment that you can create an energy storage, like, hydrogen, and create power from that, bidirectional functionality, and or just it's not necessarily technologically advanced, but unique ways of storing energy. We just are looking at a company that I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but they're actually just using cinder blocks, and they raise the cinder blocks when we have excess solar or wind power, and then use them, lower the blocks to create the electricity in time of need when maybe it's not sunny or wind. So it's kind of a convergence of nothing extremely new or fancy. Obviously we're not anything on Mars right now, but more of a convergence of some and use of technologies coming together. So I'm super interested. We're doing a lot of research and looking into hydrogen. A lot of what Angela was saying really hit home for me and what I've been working on recently.
Well, thanks, Nick. Mike, what about from your perspective?
Well, certainly there's been huge innovation in energy storage, and I think there's been a history of pretty little innovation, and so maybe a catch up, which is interesting. And so we see a lot of interesting energy storage technologies and possibilities. But the other thing that I think is connectivity. Maybe the same way that connectivity innovated the computer world, where as soon as computers were connected, a lot of new things happened. I think the same thing is happening in energy, where you see things like smart grid communications leading to better approaches to power management and dynamic response. And this connectivity, I think, is providing a huge innovation in our ability to manage energy.
Great. Well, I love those themes around connectivity and sort of multiple technologies coming together into one. I'm sure IoT plays a big component to that as well, and you're seeing a lot of those types of trends. So it's very unique to hear those different perspectives. But at the same time, we know that there's also always barriers in the energy industry to commercialization specifically. And so maybe Max, maybe less on the commercialization side, but would love to hear some of the barriers and creative solutions that NASA is facing and coming up with as it relates to energy technology development. And then also, Nick and Mike, maybe you could speak a little bit more to the barriers that you're seeing and also the challenges with commercialization and maybe some creative solutions that you're seeing. So Max, I'll start again with you.
Well, one example I've got for a barrier to energy innovation is, sorry, when I was managing the ARMD SBIR, the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate SBIR portfolio, there's a lot of need. There's a big push for electrified aircraft, and electrified aircraft don't work unless you get very, very power dense and energy dense batteries. And there's just so much work going on in lithium ion and making lithium ion batteries a little more power dense, a little more safe, a little quicker charges, a little longer lasting, more duty cycles. But lithium ion just isn't close to what you need in order to enable some of these ambitious electric aircraft. You're talking about factor of 5 or factor of 10 improvement in what you need from energy storage. And so one of the and you start to push the limits of physics, obviously, at some point, how good can we get batteries, so there are some creative solutions, some new chemistries that are going that are being explored, and I'm excited about those, but it's been a slow go trying to get those things, those new chemistries into actual form factors that are usable and into cycling and fatigue ranges that are usable. And so I really think that the push, if somebody can figure out how to electrify aircraft and really figuring out the energy storage solutions in there, that's going to open up a huge market for next generation aircraft.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Max. I know when I was at NASA, then I worked with somebody who was on that project. So fascinating technology, and I agree with that. So Nick, would love to hear from your perspective again, greatest barriers that you're seeing in energy technology commercialization and maybe some solutions.
Yeah, one of the barriers I see for us internally is that the policy, customer demand, and even economics vary by region. So we're headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. Virginia has very different policy, customer demand than even up here in Ohio. So when we're looking at technology, it might be great for various different regions, but not the region that technology's in or where that company's located. So I'll say that's the lead into the barrier I've been trying to overcome with startups, especially, is getting them into a utility of our size and into the right people and folks that are forward thinking enough to try something new. We always like to be, there's this saying that utilities like to be the second one to the game. They never want to be the first. Trying to get over that kind of mentality and that barrier, which, it's funny, but it's definitely changing for the positive, I think, here, especially recently, past probably a year or two, that we're really overcoming some of those obstacles now and trying to move at a bit of a faster pace, nowhere near, I'll say, startup pace, but trying to move forward a little faster and eliminate some of those barriers to see what the next technology is, because we know we're not the expert in that area necessarily. We move a lot of energy, but we don't necessarily create new technologies all the time. So I think that barrier of pace and is probably one of our
Peace and culture. Right, I hear that loud and clear. Well, Mike, what's your perspective?
Well, I guess following up on the innovation topic of connectivity and communications, I'd say the barriers there are technical and non-technical barriers, and maybe they mirror the same kind of barriers the computer industry faced in this area. On the non-technical side, maybe one of the barriers is maybe it's education, maybe it's ignorance. Example is San Diego, which was a leader in the installation of citywide connected streetlights to manage energy. And they just announced that they're pulling all that connectivity out because the sensors that they used, streetlights are a fantastic sensor podium to manage all kinds of information throughout a city. There were concerns about privacy. And of course, you know, in Nick, in your space, in the smart meter space, you know, people have come back and said, oh, I don't want a smart meter on my house because it's going to cause cancer, right? So there are these kinds of education kinds of barriers that are non-technical. I think on the technical side, there's this issue of compatibility, of connectivity, of different standards, of all of this that drives kind of a uniformity that is required to enable this connectivity. And I think that just takes time for the world to figure out the right solution and catch up.
Yeah, thank you for that perspective, Mike. I know we've just got a few minutes left. I was told we could go just past 3:30, but I know Max also has to drop off. So Max, I'm gonna let you go first for this very last question, and in advance, thank you for your time. But from all of your perspectives, where do you think the energy industry will be in 2040, and where should we be investing and focusing now to help to get us there? That's for, you know, an entire audience of startup founders, innovators from all different backgrounds. Would love to hear your perspective.
I'm notoriously bad at looking into crystal balls. I once told my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, that cell phones were useless, and there's no reason for to ever adopt that technology. So don't listen to me. But I mean, I would hope from a terrestrial perspective, I would just certainly hope that the cost of both energy storage in whatever form that takes and renewable energy generation just continues to drop and drop and drop and just compete more and more and more. And so that we go ahead and we can have fossil fuels be a lower and lower percentage of base load power. And then we can continue to use renewables as higher and higher percentages of both our baseload and peak demand powers. I would love to see that happen. From a NASA perspective, I would say that I would love to see energy solutions at NASA. NASA's super good at doing incredible things with incredibly small amounts of power. And I would like to go ahead and see some NASA missions that tackle the question: if you had a ton of power, how cool would you make your mission, right? Rather than saying, I know I can only have this much, and so what can I do with that? I think we can do some really awesome things if we really expand our horizons and challenge ourselves from an energy perspective. Sure. Maybe we find that shark swimming around in Europa. That's my hope, enabled by an innovative energy solution.
I love that perspective. Think bigger, maybe not smaller. I like that, Max. Thanks so much again. Nick, on to you.
Yeah, a lot of what I'm seeing here, I think Alex and Angela hit on it quite a bit earlier. You know, the energy storage, circular economy, digitalization, and a lot of electrification. Which, you know, it's kind of funny me saying that, being on the gas side of the business, but really seeing it going that way and thinking about 20 years from now, it's not really that far away. That I think we're going to see some interesting developments in the hydrogen, primarily a lot in the hydrogen market, along the energy storage track, and hopefully hopefully Dominion can help out on that infrastructure side of that piece of that problem
Great.
down the road here.
Thanks so much, Nick. Mike, last but not least, your perspective.
Well, too bad Max is gone. I just wanted to let him know that he may not be that bad of a forecaster because, you know, my cell phone's certainly useless. But I would say that 2040 energy will be much more personal. Our ability to manage, monitor, select energy will be much more personal than it is now. I mean, an example of that is what we're doing at Notice, where, you know, windows are being used to generate electricity. And so that gets as personal as it can be. You know, the windows in your house generate electricity. I think we'll see a lot more sort of those kind of personal and localized energy solutions.
That's wonderful. Very unique perspectives. I know we're just about at time. So Nick and Mike, I just wanted to thank you for sharing your perspectives in this rapid fire panel. For those that are still with us, I think there's networking coming up next. So Rick, I'm going to turn it back over to you to take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Courtney. And how much content did we just sneak into an hour and a half? Wow. Like, it's one of those things that I absolutely love about my job, because I get to get smarter every time I have a meeting with somebody, and I just packed like a year's worth of knowledge, I think, into 90 minutes. So thank you guys so much for that, and thank you so much to our sponsors. Elio, what did you think about that panel?
Listen, this is my one takeaway from that. I mean, there were a lot of things, right? But this is the one that's sticking in my craw right now. This is a quote from Max. I'm going to butcher it. This is my best summary. He's thinking about right now digging through 1 mile of ice on Europa to see if there are sharks underneath there. I just threw all my goals out of the window because I'm not thinking big enough. Okay, I'm thinking about the planet Earth, and Max is thinking about Jupiter too. All right. And then the second takeaway from this whole day is that we were afraid that 2 hours for a virtual conference was maybe pushing it. I think if this is the inaugural, we definitely need to think about doing something a little bit longer, right? I think everybody in the comments, let us know if this virtual conference could stand to be maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe 3 hours if you would hang around for a conference that long. But we want to continue with some networking. Thank you guys so much for joining us. On your left, you'll see networking and a now. When you click that, it's going to ask you if you're ready to connect with somebody. You hit yes, and it's going to randomly pair you with someone for speed networking. You guys will have 3 minutes. If you decide you want to share information, hit the connect button at the top. Hopin will automatically send that person's contact information to you. 3 minutes later, you click that again, it will pair you with somebody else. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Rick, you're an excellent co-host, man. Thank you for coming along on the journey with me.
Thank you, man. And thank you just for really helping us hone the vision for this. Building this stuff together is the best thing that we can do as a community, as people trying to start new companies. Collaboration actually means something when you really do it. And so getting to collaborate on this with you, Elio, has been awesome. So I'm excited to jump into some networking. Who knows who I'm going to meet with? I'm kind of excited to see what happens, and see like somebody that's like, oh, I don't want to waste 3 minutes on Rick. So see if I can get out of this one. So appreciate you all. Thanks so much.
Yeah, the 3 minute limit was to avoid awkward silence, right? You only got to spend 3 minutes with Rick, then you can get out of there. All right, Rick. See you later, man. All right, everybody. See you in networking.